So, Professor Green, in the interest of full disclosure, we get on campus yesterday, and I think to myself, what a beautiful campus it is. But then I also thought, wow, I'm very familiar with the history of George Wallace and what it meant to integrate schools during that time. But for whatever reasons, I was a little taken aback that it was documented here, and it's now called the Malone Plaza. Give us the background on this, please.
Well, this is just one piece of the university trying to be more inclusive. So in 2010, we decided to honor Vivian Malone and James Hood. So these are two African-American students, first two who enrolled here in 1963. And it was a wonderful celebration. And Autherine Lucy is also being honored here. She was actually our first student. She arrived in 1956, but she was here just 3 days. So it was a pretty difficult time.
Yeah, it was a tough time, and now you see that this campus is documenting it. And for me, it meant a lot just because I know what it would take to be one of the first. Still in this day, we still deal with one of the first. But here's what I'm able to juxtapose, right? So we have this legacy, this history, this football history and legacy of Bear Bryant, Nick Saban doing things that are unheard of in college football. And then we also have the history of the South and what it means to be here. Sometimes there's a stigmatism with it, the Old South and the New South. Tell me about it.
Well, historians, we talk a lot about the New South, and that New South is pretty complicated. But here's the gist of it. That New South is still inclusive, meaning you have to tell the story of how African Americans figure into what we do. And football's a part of that, but education is as well.
Yeah, so you told me a story that I think is pretty interesting. You had as a history professor here, it's not all sports, but yeah, sometimes it is. Your students had an interaction or some type of story about Nick Saban.
Yes, they did. So I wanted my students to visit what I call the messiest post-war space on campus. You know, we've had a difficult moment in U.S. history right now, and they're falling apart. And I said, you know what? We've been falling apart for a long time. But here's the thing. What I want us to do is go to the messiest space where we see progress and we're still like wanting things to change. And I felt it was that tunnel. We're going to run through that tunnel together at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Here we have African-American young men who found a way to trust in one person, Nick Saban. I think that's a miracle. Alongside of all the other stuff that we see every day that's real. The oppression's going to be there, but something else is there as well. So we ran through the stadium's tunnel, and I told them to put 2016 in their rear view.
That gave me chills. All right, in our rear view, Professor, I need you to walk me through Foster Auditorium, the place in which where Vivian Malone and James Hood were denied their initial entry by Governor George Wallace, but now...
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's integrated.
It's integrated.